Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be starting up something new, something a bit different. We've been talking a lot about European technology. We've been starting to talk about some of our experience in automotive. And with Lee here, we're going to be talking about a different topic. We're going to be talking about organizations and engineering teams together, what goes right, what goes wrong. So this is a series we're calling Snapp Engineering. And Lee, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hi, Jasper, by the way. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'm Lee, Lee English. I look after a lot of our delivery-focused stuff over here in Snapp. I come from a technical background. So initially, I was like a Windows infrastructure guy, a little bit of scripting, but mostly server work, virtualization. Back when virtualization was new, and then I kind of put a stop to that, and then moved into the delivery world. So started off by becoming a project manager, albeit probably a pretty bad one, as all project managers probably are when they start out. And then over the course of time, I've kind of learned some techniques that I feel work for me and the teams that I work with, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point down the line.
Great, great. And I'm Jasper Morgan. I'm one of the founders at Snapp. I also have a very technical background, having spent many years building systems for a variety of companies. Seen really great engineering teams and great organizations that are around the engineering teams. I've seen it also go horribly wrong, and we're going to bring some of that understanding and experience to this podcast. So, Lee, let's talk quickly about how we're going to structure the podcast, how these episodes are going to run, what we want to cover. Do you want to kick off, or shall I jump into it?
Yeah, I mean, you can probably make a good start, but I think we've talked about stuff at pretty great length, right? About the idea that we've often seen this kind of issue just with overall with delivery as a whole. And this isn't that engineers are necessarily doing a bad thing, or let's say a product manager's doing a particularly bad thing, but there always seems to be something that kind of gets in the way that hinders the actual delivery itself, and it causes such a mess. And really, I guess there's two questions: is how can you stop yourself from getting into that position in the first place? But then also, how do you kind of unpick that and unpick it well enough that you kind of cause less delays along the way, kind of affair. So that's kind of how I see this. And I'll come at this in a slightly more delivery focused kind of element with a non-technical skew, if you like, because it's been ages since I've even touched a keyboard in any technical capacity. So
I think that's great. I think we're going to have a good balance, because I will no doubt be leaning on the technical side of the story, looking at it somewhat from the perspective of the developers, and trying to understand a little bit the developer story, what's going right, what's going wrong. But the reality is that the ability to ship software well, reliably, high quality, in a sort of a time frame and a budget that everybody's expecting, that's not an easy thing to do. And it's not a developer only game. It's a big team sport, and there are a lot of other players on the pitch that sometimes let the team down.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that can happen at any point in the journey, which I'm sure we'll get into that, because it's a couple of specific things that I'd like to talk about at some point as to why I think that happens, which we might agree on actually, or we may not, which is fine.
We might disagree.
Yeah.
Let's hope not. So the way I think we should structure this series is partly hearing from us, partly some of our stories, some of our experiences. We can bring colleagues from the team in to get some of their experience as well. But I'd really like to bring in some other voices, people that we know, people that we've worked with, really to hear their perspective on things, their perspective on different industries, different types of software that are getting built, and really trying to see whether there's some common threads that run through delivery successes and also delivery challenges. I'm not going to quite say delivery failures at this stage, but delivery challenges. And I think hopefully over time, we'll be able to pinpoint those parts where things are fixable, and those parts where where you have to navigate maybe a difficult, immovable situation.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to unpick some of this as well, because I mean, we've got quite different experiences, and I think also bringing in all these other voices will probably paint very different pictures. And those experiences will also kind of it'll also give us the opportunity to really kind of deep dive into kind of how they've dealt with the situations, why they've dealt with them in a particular way. And I think the first thing to say is, like, every single project is completely unique and it will have its own problems. It's why I personally loathe the cookie cutter way of running any delivery. So it'll be interesting to see how people have dealt with those challenges and why they've approached them in the way they have. And also what made that particular delivery unique is also going to be quite interesting to hear about as well. Yeah.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So I was thinking a good place for us to start would be for us, maybe in the next episode, to talk about our experiences. Maybe the worst project story would be a good one to start with, a kind of a fun one to start with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've got a few candidates. I mean, I think combined we probably have a good 50 years worth of experience between us.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we've got a few candidates that be for top spots as worst project. But let's try and choose one. Let's maybe be a bit sensitive and not go into too much detail of the company and so forth. But it'd be good to kind of pick out some of the themes from those projects and get a sense of where we kind of started thinking about engineering capability, when they kind of meet engineering teams and where it goes wrong and what's causing that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think I've got a couple in my head. So yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Okay. All right. We'll keep it short for today. More next time. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.